Your district was one of the most competitive districts in the state.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about your path to public service? How'd you find yourself thinking about the impacts of tariffs on your agricultural state industry and messaging and all those things that you get to spend your day doing?
Yeah. So my path to public service is varied and long and all these things. It's so I started I originally from South Dakota, and I was involved with local politics when I was there. I interned in DC for Senator Tim Johnson, if anybody remembers him. So back in the day, that's kind of where I started out. And when I came to law school in 2012 in Iowa, and from there, obviously had to get through that ordeal, which is law school. And then when I got out, I actually still did advocacy work up the Capitol. I advocated for nonprofit aging service providers. I hate saying this word, but I was a registered lobbyist for a little while. But that's kind of how, so I've been in the Iowa Capitol for numbers of years. So that gave me some advantage with that. But when it comes to public service in particular, I've always been a big believer. Well, taking a step back, when it came to military, I was planning on joining at 18, and it was the height of Iraq. And one of like 3 times in my life, my father has ever like cried in front of me was him saying, "I don't want you coming back in a body bag." And I was like, okay, all right, fine. I won't join at that time. Then I go get into college, and I was contemplating ROTC. And for reasons like getting up really early and doing things like that, I was like, okay, I took the college experience and didn't do it. But it was always in the back of my mind. And my wife and I worked out a kind of a compromise that I could enter in after I got done with law school. And that's where I joined the Iowa Army National Guard as a JAG officer. So that's what I am. I'm a JAG. And I've been one for 9 to 10 years. So I'm kind of in that zone. And I started as a lieutenant. I'm currently Major Blake, and I still drill on the same drill schedule that I do. And I deployed to the Middle East in 2021, where I served in Iraq and Kuwait, and in the capacity as a JAG. And I was there about 9 months in country. But that's just a component of my service. And then in 2019, because I was doing a lot within the community, like the first thing that I did when I actually moved into the city I represent, which is Urbandale, I'm a big believer that once you have the capacity to serve, if you have the ability and the time, because I know a lot of people that when they start having little kids, myself included, time becomes very valuable. So at the time I didn't have kids. And so I raised my hand to try to do something of service to my community. And my town that I represent, Urbandale, is about a 45,000 person town, has a big yearly 4th of July celebration. And we have one big parade, which is the 4th of July parade. And so I raised my hand and I helped run the 4th of July parade. That was my first thing I did as public service. And I don't know whether I was naive or really enthusiastic, maybe a combination of both. But they were like, "You seem energetic, so you go be in charge of the whole celebration." So we had, on top of the parade, I had the carnival and I had the entertainment and I had the whole thing. And that's kind of how I kind of cut my teeth in service in my community. And I actually, up until the last 2 years, still ran the parade, but something had to give in my life. And then local people understood that I kind of was this active individual. And they asked me to run for city council in 2019. And out of a 7-way race, because all the incumbents decided to retire, for 3 spots out of a 7-way race, I was the top vote getter, which I appreciate. And then in 2023, 2024, I decided not to run for city council because I thought there was an opportunity to run for state senate. And then I think you hinted at it. I currently have the record as the most expensive legislative race in state history in the state of Iowa. And I was the only Democrat to flip a seat in the state of Iowa in 2024. Only incumbents lost. I was the only Democrat to beat a Republican in 24. So in the state of Iowa, I mean, that was a flip. I shouldn't say that I was the only one, but like the only one that flipped something, which was, and I won by 5 points. I beat an incumbent that had been there for 20 years. He was the longest serving Senate Republican in the state, and I beat him. And I think it was just I have this good resume. I seem to be easygoing. I think I have a decent policy, decent policy background. But I think folks were just open to somebody that's authentic and, is probably aligns a little bit more with their beliefs in my district, and somebody that's willing to fight on their behalf.